welcome to Static Talk,
Oh
episode 2.
god, oh god, the cringe is so bad. Holy shit. Woo, woo, woo. Oh god, I'm cringing at it. You cringed me into a diamond. Oh god. Yes, god, you're killing me. Oh god. No, just use that. Just use the just use what we just used recorded that, right? No.
That. Hey guys, I'm Foedus Latro. I'm with HK.
Oh god, this is real, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ah, jeez, Rick.
Go Tiny.
Hi, I am Tiny. I'm the CEO of MCAV.
Let's go. We're
Fucking hell, dude.
get shit on. We're a wormhole podcast talking about wormhole stuff, and we just bullshit about wormhole happenings, and yeah. So what I wanted to do at the start of this, I wanted to go over the structures briefly because a lot of people said that we went over, like, the information that we gave was bad on the structures, specifically the timing. So I just want to go over that because it was more clarified later in the CCP roundtable at eVegas last year for what was released. For those that don't know, the structures, the timers, the first initial timer, the shield timer for all structures, is like vulnerable all the time, like POSs and like POCOs are. And the second timer is during the time slot, like the time zone that you set for your, for whatever you set. It's going to be at least 24 hours later. So it's going to be 24 to 48 hours later, depending on when the first timer gets done. I should say the shield timer. So then the armor timer is like 48 to 24 hours behind that. And then Tiny, when is the structure timer for the structure? Do you know?
Actually, sorry, some guys messaging me at the same fucking time.
God damn it!
The structure timer, isn't it set on a date and time that they specify?
Yes, and I believe it has to be the same time that you specify for the armor timer. So let's say you set like 100. So your structure timer is going to be on the day that you select at 100. And apparently there is some way you're going to be able to find out when that day is, like whether it's like what day of the week it is and what time it is. So you still will be able to do like a 3-day eviction in W space. A lot of people were worried about doing like a 7-day eviction or something stupid like that. So
I did one.
Yeah, like that's killing all the structures. I mean, you're still going to have to do a 7-day eviction if you plan all your timers to be like one comes out Monday, one comes out Tuesday, etc. So what else happened in yeah, that's pretty much it, right?
Do you want to do like a synopsis of like our topic?
Oh, sure. We can go over like all of our topics. Yeah.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like I thought we did some clarifications. Like,
yeah.
I guess like CCP just lays out some memes and we're just like, okay, let's just speculate. But it was good that there's a lot of clarification came out. But today we're gonna go over we cleared that up. But we had an eviction attempt from inner hell to quantum singularities. So we're gonna do 10 minutes on that.
Yeah.
Someone wrote the wrong corp name on this fucking little paper here.
Yeah, I wrote inner hell attempted eviction of quantum explosions by accident.
Well, that'd be interesting.
That'd be evicting themselves would be kind of interesting. Anyway, though.
And then after that, we'll go into we're gonna have like a big fucking mental breakdown about EW space Bushido. And wow,
fucking hate that word though. Like people use that word. We'll go into it.
My stomach turned saying it too.
Dude, we're gonna talk about like an hour on like wormhole Bushido, and my mind is gonna be mush after it, and everyone's minds are just gonna be mush about wormhole Bushido. So.
And then we have story time.
Then we have story time. Yeah.
That'd be a good meme.
So, inner hell eviction. Quantum Singularities is the C2 nullsec C5 corp, which they moved there from their C5. I don't know, I forgot what stack that they had, but they had a C5, they moved to C2 null. They're in nullsecnaya Shulupin, which is like friends with a whole bunch of different people, but mainly based in Great Wildlands. Nullsec corp, but I don't think they like do too much affiliation with them. As far as their like C2 goes, it's just them, just quantum singularities in the C2, and they.
I don't really know what they were up to, but to be honest, like I feel like activity went down, and they were like pulled one of those memes of like, but this is speculating. You should just ask them; they'll tell you. But like,
yeah.
to me, it just seemed like activity is low. Let's join an alliance for content. Hey, like that was my impression.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, maybe they'd be really mad that I said that, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
no, it was about I don't know, Manifest Destiny, whatever the fuck, I don't know. But that was my impression. I've seen a lot of corps do it.
I guess now that you kind of brought it up, this is like the podcast. Like I'm gonna cycle back a little bit. The podcast, like what we're doing here is we're just like a social commentary between us, between me and Tiny on like the wormhole happenings. So like we may or may not bring guests on like for what like the recent events. Like I contacted a couple dudes from Inner Hell because I'd really like to talk to Inner Hell about this eviction, but they all like didn't want to come on and talk about their failed eviction, obviously. So
I wonder why.
Woo. So yeah. Do you know what happened? Tiny, you were there for the eviction.
Yeah, I was there. I mean, I can give my point of view, but of what happened to us. So we had long story short, I mean we found out this was going on, and what I found out more specifically, which was even crazier, was that neither side was really doing hull control 24/7, which is like making me twitch.
Yeah, they had this like
I don't know what that was all about, but anyway, so they were like, XD, it's super easy to get in, just come at this time because they're all sleeping, and then basically let me skip over that and come back to it later. But basically, Inner Hell is trying to do this eviction, and I guess they had determined that it is impossible without capitals of some kind. Okay, and they set up an ASBEL.
Oh yeah.
And they had a capital building, whatever it's called, capital ship bay or whatever it's called, and they were cranking out some caps, I guess. That ASBEL actually did manage to get anchored, and they were working on them, and then fucking quantum singularities had to fight 3 timers to destroy the ASBEL, and once the ASBEL went down, that was it.
Do you know what happened to like? Do you know what happened to quantum singularity structures? Like if they actually got like RF'd down or killed?
I am not aware of anything that's been RF'd, but that is not based in fact. That is based on me spinning the camera around once or twice since I was in there.
Man, we suck at this.
But I didn't see anything, and no one was talking about it. I imagine there might. It looked like there was a lot of fights where maybe they attempted shit.
Mm-hmm.
Inner Hell attempted shit, and then I just see them getting memed on by like a shitload of caps.
I remember the fight that I saw you in. They were rolling their null sec static. They, as in quantum singulators, were rolling the null sec static, trying to find a connection. They rolled the C5 connection, and it actually spawned into Rage, which is Hard Knock's home. And this was the armor timer for shooting Inner Hell's ASBEL in a quantum singularity's home down to like it was the armor timer. So we got pinged. We formed a Sleipnir fleet. We formed like a 60-man Sleipnir fleet, put it on the hole, and just like did memes, right? And in their ASBEL, they had like 111 people in their ASBEL, like the Russians, the Inner Hell and company, because there's like a whole bunch of groups here, including Hull Control was on their side. Octoon Partisan had a Tengu fleet there that just got
Wholesale
was there, yeah. Octoon Partisan,
it was fucked up. I mean, that's why I wanted to go, because there was so much going on there, so many things, like, and there was a timer, there was a conflict driver. I was just like, okay, this is great. I don't do bad phones like this. I fucking hate doing them because they're always terrible. And I was like, this looks legit. I have a good feeling about this. I'll go. And then a fucking course, it rolls into HK, and then like all of Inner Hell stands down. They all log out. All these guys just log out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it went from 111 down to like 50, and the timer wasn't even complete yet. And I was just like, okay.
It was sad. And then like you guys exited through us, and I think it's
I'm out at that point. I'm not waiting another day. I told them as soon as I was like involved, I'm like, listen, I'm only here because I think this might be fun. Like, I really don't. I'm here for my guys' fun. I'm not here to go around saving all of W space from Russian invasions. That's a playstyle, I guess, but it's not mine.
Yeah, they asked HK to log off in there as well, and we're like, no, we're not
like,
gonna log off in there.
Fun.
Like, yeah, no.
So we didn't do that, and we just bailed on it. And of course, the fight I wanted happened the next day, which was just terrible. Oh, thanks. Yep. Yeah. I really, the big question around this whole eviction for me, well, two major points is my big takeaways. One was, I guess, well, we'll start with the memes first, is that what the fuck happened with this eviction in regards to the aggressors? I mean, we got involved in this whole thing. Inner Hell, which is Russian and Asian time zone. You got Wholesale, which is U.S. You got acting partisan, which is European, and you got hold control, which is kind of a spread, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to really gauge them, but I always would like to say European, but they were kind of a much more minor component anyway, so I can't say that all of them were there because that's not true. What happened there? Why no hold control? You have 111 people in there and across 3 different time zones. I don't understand. Right. Well, they concede. They just totally conceded. Like, they just let it go. They just said, like, if it's not U.S., we're not doing control, and they went to work, and I don't blame them because fuck, I don't know what I would do if I have to give up a week of work for this shit. It's not that fucking important.
Yeah, they were in there for a while. I don't actually know how long they're. Tempests, armor tempests, which was a strange composition in my mind. They were like 800 millimeter brawling tempests, and they just died to their own fort A and all the carriers from Quantum Singularities and company. So all the Hodreds too. I just don't understand. I don't understand why you undock like tempests first of all, and that like maelstroms, like an actual nullsec doctrine, like an alpha comp. But I don't know.
I mean, you could do already Tempest. I mean, you could.
You could, but like.
But they didn't. I don't know. I don't know. But you know what this really says to me more than anything is just how screwed up Citadel balance is. So, like, something I think about a lot is, like, how fucking seriously do you need to take Eve to get anywhere? And, like, I just think back to us evicting Jaded and how strenuous that was. And now I'm looking at this, which is a C2 Corp, which, no offense, I thought was largely AFK. They just log in and sit in a bunch of caps and just meme on these people, like, whatever, and they had like over 100 people. Now I could sit here and say like, ha ha ha, look, the Russians are so retarded, xddd, like, I could say that, but I mean, at the same time, I'm looking at this and it's just like, Jesus Christ, we're talking about, multi-week evictions.
The amount of effort from like actually bringing in like all the materials, all the BPCs, and all the shit that's actually needed to build those doctrines in that hole too.
Like, I don't know, like, how fucking uphill of a battle could you possibly be fighting right now? Like, I don't know.
Plus, you're in a C2 nullsec C5, so the chances of finding a high sec, like a viable high sec, is, especially in your like Russian time that you need to find it. Like, I praise the logistics guys for Inner Hell, because goddamn, especially if they actually were building caps in there, that would have been really interesting.
I think I'd be foolish to think they weren't.
True.
That Asbel was up long enough. Like, they were. I don't know what was going on exactly, but basically the conversation I had with them was like, how long is that? Like, they were talking about how long the Asbel's been up, and I don't remember, but it was like not. It didn't get anchored yesterday when I got there. It's been up.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like waiting for the vulnerability timer, and I was like, oh my god, you have to win this timer because God only knows what they're building. You don't want to find out, right? And you can be as comfortable as you want with your Foedus and be like, XD Foedus, it's gonna kill the capitals for us. But I mean, I could also.
The final battle, they didn't have that many dudes either side. They had 55 on the Inner Hell side, which is a lot less than the 110 that they had before. I don't know. I maybe would have taken that fight because HK was in Sleipners, and Sleipners can be countered by those battleships very, very easily. Like, Sleipners is just something you don't want to fight battleships with. And yeah, Nullsecnaya had like all the caps and shit, but that's all that they are. They're caps. You kill like the facts, and then you just like work your way down the carriers. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's super weird.
Like
this
the
whole
Novak
had super weird.
Novak had materials for some reason defending, like an actual material fleet in there defending them, and like there's a bunch of other random like C2 corps and like other like USTZ corps in there as well. Just coming along for the fun. This is what I hate about the bat phones, because it's fucking everyone and their mother wanting to join in on the big fight.
Yeah, I mean, I was as guilty of it as any. Hey, at least I was right, but I was off by a day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, no, but it sucks because of like now it's going to be very, very different. It's like, I think this is just like
the beginning.
I think this is like a litmus test or some kind of like sign of the future of just like what evictions are really going to look like. Because back in the day, eviction would look like Group A versus Group B, and while people would love to bad phone and blah blah blah, your timing of it is as fast as you're willing to grind it. So like, you could start a POS at any time, you could do anything at any time. Like, that was a very big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you're not going to be able to do that, and it's just like people are like, I'm going to go to work. I don't want to do this. Like, I don't really care about you so much that I'm going to sit here and autistically have my eyes pop out of my head and do whole control or whatever. I mean, clearly that's what I'm seeing from Quantum Singularities or whatever. So like, yeah, sure, yeah. honestly, I just think bad footing is just going to become more and more and more common. It's going to look a lot more like null in that way, where you're going to have a lot of groups
I
working
think
together.
I think large scale evictions are going to be looking like this a lot more often, where you fucking have somebody dropping an Asbel in their home, or like a fort with a capital shipyard, or like a fort and an Asbel, like a large scale eviction, you know, and just like setting up shop in their home until they're out of there.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's just crazy, man.
So
I don't know. I think you got to be an eviction corp. I think you really got to be a corp that wants to do evictions if you really want to get involved on this level. Otherwise, just keep evicting loot pinatas besides that.
pretty much, can you even call
Ugh.
yourself an eviction corp if you just evict loot pinatas?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Like my impression of an eviction corp is someone that's like looking. Well, I mean, like Jesus Christ, eviction corps would want to evict a loot pinata more than anybody, right?
Oh, that's true.
But
Mercenaries, man, the best mercenaries in W Space wholesale operations.
oh my goodness.
Brought to you by Wholesale.
I mean, seriously, like, see, we have bad examples, right? Like, oh my God, I talk shit to Wholesale to their face all day long, so I can say what I really feel here, I guess. But, like, Wholesale goes after all these, like, Loot Pinata Corps or C4 Corps, or, you open up a BR and you see Wholesale just completely dunking, like, some big fleet and some C4 against a corp you never heard of. And it's just like,
Because they've
okay.
never used their caps before. Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like when you're trying to make this comment of like, what is a large scale eviction going to look like when an eviction corp comes after, like a a real C5 corp.
But they'll
whatever
never do
means,
that, though.
because they can't. It's not even possible. So we have bad examples, right? I mean, like they only go after loot pinatas, A, because they want to pay their members for the eviction or whatever the fuck Kool-Aid they feed them, and then B, they want them, you want to pick a target that you can't do, right? So you can't do that. So then what? So so it's kind of a moot point to be like, oh, what do eviction corps look like? It's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
dude. We only have like two and a half real examples anyway, so I don't know. So anyway, I don't know, but I don't think these evictions where like corp you've heard of versus corp you've heard of eviction, when the fuck is that gonna happen? I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I don't understand how that happens, right? It just doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
And the planning is crazy. I mean, even corps that people don't think are like super strong. I mean, like killing two forts is an ordeal,
Especially when
when
they're
they're
off
actually
time zone.
defended.
I mean, look at the TLC eviction that HK did. We literally left the second fort because, well, A, there was nothing much in it, and B, we didn't want to fucking stay there for another 3 days.
Understandable. I mean, that's just a sign. It's just a sign of like I hope maybe this is what CCP wants in the game, but it's just like it's a monumental effort to
I'm
get
really
one
glad.
of those down.
Yeah, circling back to that fucking structure timers, I'm really glad they're moving it back to shooting it whenever you want, you know? Even if you do have to come back for the final timer, it's only one timer that you have to alarm clock and actually prep for.
True. But I mean, there's more to evictions than timers. I mean, you got to make sure you have that control all the time. I mean, if you're
Mhm.
actually doing it like that, and that's a tough one. Because like, think about it. Okay, HK goes and evicts some no name, right? And then you guys decide not to do hold control, and then you're gonna log back into a very different scenario.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, what the fuck? Who wants that? Not worth it. And then if that's not worth it, then are evictions worth it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Jaded was worth it, and that took 8 days. But I mean, like, I didn't. I don't know. I don't know, man. Ugh.
Ugh. So,
It's a lot of fucking work.
we should move on, though. Next topic.
Yeah, we should.
Big topic.
Oh, fucking hell. Where
You
are we
ready
gonna
for this?
start with this?
Wormhole
I mean,
Bushido?
I'm ready.
What is, like, for the people that don't know what Wormhole Bushido is, even though it's like a myth and something you're not supposed to actually, like, follow or whatever. I'm puking in my mouth. Okay. The way I wanted to describe Wormhole Bushido is like the Eoner, like everyone in W Space leadership knows what I'm talking about when I say this. Like I'm gonna use two New Men quotes from New Men, my previous operations director, now Wormhole CSM. I'll read them out here. It seems that everyone thinks there is rules or an honor code that everyone has agreed to follow, which is simply not the case. At the end of the day, it's about blowing up each other's spaceships. I say all that to remind everyone there are no rules. You can push whatever kind of e-honor and rules on other people, but if you don't have the military strength to enforce them, they're meaningless words to other people. And those are those two quotes came from his AAR on the Drop Bears eviction, which is public, mind you. And very good eviction. And this is where, like, everyone was hating on HK so hard for evicting drop bears. The helpless newbies in C6 space and Nova, they're just, Reddit was totally against HK at that time as well. I remember because I was in Isogen 5 back then. I was on the fight though. I was like with HK shooting drop bears. It was great. But yeah, that's what's Wormhole Bushido, Tiny? You tell me.
It's one of those things where it was paved with good intentions. So there's like obvious mechanical, we'll call them problems in W space, right? So W space is unique in that you can only get X amount of mass through someone's wormhole. So if I roll into HK and I decide that I want to fight them, they can bring home field advantage. They can bring whatever they want. And let's say I commit something like armor in rage, there is no problem undocking 10, 20 dreads to come kill that whole gang easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this Eoner shit starts where people are like, all right, we're never going to get a fight off if that's how you're going to act. So...
You mean a fight a second time? Like, they'll never come back and do that again. Like,
true.
You might well to them like the first time, like somebody dread bombs or dread blobs you in their home, as it's normally called. But
so
yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, so it's paved with these good intentions where, okay, like, we want to get fights off, so like you shouldn't dread blob, you shouldn't whatever. But it goes way too far. I mean, like, I don't even know where to start. I mean, like, people bitch to me that, I catch them. I remember, no names mentioned, but I catch people rolling, and then they're like, I'm literally killing 2 Higgs battleships, and then they bring in a bunch of stuff, and then we bring in a bunch of stuff, and we have a massive fleet, and they get wrecked, and then it's like I'm breaking some sort of Eoner, and it's just like, what? And then at the same time, you get all kinds of crap where, like, or you can get the fucking bros before holes strategy, where they immediately are spamming all of my accounts that they know of with combos, and it's just like trying to arrange fights, and then like when you do
or
go down the
combos.
Or whatever, and then they just go down the arranged fight path, and then people break the rules, and then someone always ends up crying, right? Oh my god.
It's going to the arrangement fight part of it, because you usually get like 2 wormhole leaders, right? Just fucking bullshitting. All of a sudden you get 2 like guys online, right? And like all your members. It happened to us like right now. Earlier today, when somebody convos HK and says, hey, we're connected in chain, and it happens to be like a TD line member, and all of a sudden like somebody important from HK logs in, somebody that can do stuff, like Brax, and like, hey, we're connected in chain, let's fight, let's arrange something, right? That happens all the time in W space. You meet like a PvP entity and you like arrange something. That's common. Like, what the fuck am I trying to say?
Well, I guess to someone who doesn't know that's a thing that happens, that's blowing someone's mind that it's not from W space. To everyone else, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, because there's nothing to actually fight over, kind of like nullsec right now. So what we fight over is like when we see somebody in chain, like another PvP entity, we try our best to fight them somehow, in some way, shape, or form. Like, it doesn't always, like what it used to be back in the day. It'd always be armor. Or like people would fly Ishtars against each other, which was stupid back then, but people would always fly just armor brawls against each other because that's what wormhole space was back then. Everyone made a lot of ISK and everyone flew expensive T3s all the time and just shot each other.
Yeah, but this gets really out of hand. This whole thing gets really out of hand because of like how people just want to over arrange fights and they want to like, I don't even understand. Like,
do you get the convos that's like, okay, we have 8 dudes online, but we're only going to bring T1 ships, cruiser down, T2 mods only, and no potting afterwards. And then you're the one person that brings a saber and for tackle and then not potting, and they all warp off grid as soon as they see a saber. And they're like, okay, you broke the rules, we're gonna roll. That's the
I mean, you're making a pretty extreme story, but yeah, that can totally happen.
It's happened to me before.
I don't even know. Like, you and I are both like kind of speechless because it's just like not getting it. Let me just dip my solution across this whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is that I don't want to talk most of the time. When people open combos with me, I don't respond. I don't want to talk. If I don't see any other way to get a fight, but outside of that, I'm not going to talk. And just go with what you find. I mean, like, your first instinct should not be to crack open combos with a wormhole leader or something and try to arrange a fight. So we generally ignore it and do about what we're doing. And there are some groups out there that do the the TLC strategy or the whatever. I guess that meme doesn't really work here. I always call it the bros before hold strategy, which is that tell everyone to duck up, don't move, stay in the citadel, and we're gonna have this convo with MCAV leadership, and then we're gonna have a good fight. No, you're not, because it's not gonna be a good fight. You're gonna form up some bullshit, and then we're either gonna be way over or way under, and it's better if this just happened naturally, where you caught a holer or we caught something or something happens.
You put out bait. That always
put
used to
out
happen
bait.
too. Like put out like a bait, something, whatever it be. Like I don't know,
Get
like
something started. Yeah, get something started.
Yeah.
And once it's started, just let it go, because that's better. It's better to be reacting off your enemy and just doing what you would do than not. And you can do this with small numbers or whatever. I mean, I remember, Jesus Christ, I remember way back in the day, I would fight fucking Laserhawks, and Peter Moonlight would lead them, and I would bring what we could have, which was like a couple of newbies and molluses, because I can't fly anything else, and oracles, plenty of oracles, and we would fucking try. And I remember Peter would tell them to get off their asses and go fight us, and they would bring like a Serb fleet. We would kill like a saber, maybe a recon, lose a bunch of molluses and probably some oracles, and then run away. I mean, what else could you do when they have 3 semis or whatever the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like, all right, we did what we could. Like, that's what you could do. There's not much you can do there.
I used to be the one of the guys that would be like, as soon as you see a dude in chain, convo them and like try to reasonably like, hey, what do you want to fight? Like, HK has plenty of doctrines to do whatever, but like people look at HK and just immediately think that they're going to lose, which is the wrong mindset in the first place. But then they like look at HK like, hey, what are you guys going to bring against us? And I'm fucking done with that strat. I see a wormhole group now, and I just bring like whoever's on comms, like get in it and like nano gang shit and head down chain. We'll go fight them. And they like that other group will usually ping at that point, and then they'll come and they'll like usually I'll blob our dudes in comms, and then like we'll ping. Then we get the fight rolling, we get a convo rolling, like, hey, we got the numbers, let's go outrageous, that way you usually get like a 3 or 4 like different fights out of it, different engagements, which is amazing.
It's way better to go down that road, than to over-arrange it.
Yeah, instead of doing okay, we'll
sometimes
ping.
things are off the table too. Sometimes armor is just off the table because
True.
It's like, oh, reduce
just don't have the numbers.
Or numbers or whatever. But I mean, like, sometimes you just look at it and it's like, oh, well, or I don't know, like, I mean, it all depends. But sometimes, like, you just let it happen naturally and let them undock things, and then you can undock things, or you bring a fleet there, and it's just better to go down this more natural path. And the other thing too is that you will build relationships with these corps. I mean, like, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but you will build relationships for better or for worse with these corps, and you will learn their tendencies and you will learn what they do. I mean, we look at a group and we can tell right away what we're going to need in order to get content from them. So let's pick an easy target that everyone can hate on, right? So like some unknown people in like a C2, right, that are like camping a high sec, right?
Mm-hmm.
How you gonna extract content from them? They're gonna jump out of the high sec if they bring a fleet, and if you don't, if you bring like, I don't know, you need something to make this fight happen, right? So, and then let's say, and this happened a little while ago. They have a little bubble up in the high sec camp. So what I like to do is give them exactly what they want. I'd get a bait sigil and I warp it into their bubble and I get caught in it, and then they all grab their little AKs and then they come over here and it's party time and they're gonna go kill my sigil, and then we come in and shamelessly blob them with whatever, right? It's very basic. It's very, very basic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could do that with like hardly any people, right? The fucking Stratios decloaks, the overblinged out of talent Stratios, the fucking all the bombers decloak, some weirdo in a Mollusk Navy for some reason, and warping over to me.
Yep. Usually have a Foedus sitting on the hull for some reason other than a devoter. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
so yeah. and that you got to approaching the game like that is much better, right? So then branching this into W Space Corps, whatever. It's like, what is it going to take to make a corp name fight? And it's like, you learn it and you learn their tendencies. And, when you actually fight some groups, like, let's run down the list, like, Lasers or Shekel Squad or HK or MCAV or whoever it is. I mean, when you go down these, they will know you and they will know what you do and they will know kind of what to expect. And things can start working a lot easier, but less is more. I mean, when you start arranging and going crazy down that road, that is very, very bad. Just, you want to fight armor, show some armor ships. You want to fight not armor, show not armor ships, right?
Mm-hmm. What happens if you don't show anyone? Then you get
You
in the
stay
case.
dog.
Then you get in the case where one person brings like a confessor fleet, right, to the hole and just like derping around with like AB confessors, and then the other corp is like, I see that they're in a confessor gang. What can we do to kill that? And then it'll either be like rapid light missile launcher Orthruses, or like, as in HK's, I'd bring on like a fleet of jackdaws just to kill a whole bunch of confessors. Just like, that's when you get to the stupid situations where like people actually show their force, they want to fight, right, and their fleet just gets completely countered by the other corp, by the like just the doctrine wise, you know.
Yep.
And that goes into that Bushido. That straight goes into the Bushido. Like, fuck, do you do it in that situation? They're laying their dick on the table for you right there. Like, they're in confessors. Probably like 1MN AB pulse confessors for brawling at 0 normal. Do you like straight up counter it, or do you bring a doctrine to try to like fight in their play style? And that's where it brings into like, what do you do in that situation? Because you're gonna get yelled at either way, right? Or you're gonna get yelled at if you bring a fleet straight up to counter them, and you're not gonna get a fight out of it because they have eyes on you as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. I mean, if you sit there with a fleet, you protect yourself by seeing what they have and whatever, right? But I mean, you gotta, that is a tough thing to do. I consider putting your fleet on their static and waiting for a fight not smart, because what the fuck?
They'll clipboard the shit out of your fleet and get set up.
Like, there is a lot of lead up steps before it, and I can't, like, I mean, I gave one random example. That C2 example is bad. But, the worst thing you can do in this scenario is just show a completed fleet or start talking, right? Start convoing and whatever.
Or if you're, like, super arrogant, just stick an armor fleet on their static with a triage.
Well, you could. See, I mean, the one thing about armor fleets is that they tend to be well-rounded. You're ready for a lot of things. So I think armor is a little different.
True.
But
how about Macarials
like,
with triage and 2 dreads? Tiny.
I wouldn't be putting like yeah, right. But I wouldn't be putting like confessors or I don't know.
Or Cerberuses or Sleipnirs. Sleipnirs.
Yeah, I don't do that. You're kind of making me divide by 0. The
Sleipnir meme. Let's fight Sleipnirs against each other. What a fun and engaging content. Let's alpha each other's ships until we have no more ships left.
It's just better to... I just don't approach the game in this way where people are talking. See, you can find stuff, right? Okay, you roll into somebody's home. More often than not, they're either dead and not playing, or they're doing something. They're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Go find out what that is, right? It might be people gas mining. It might be someone running a site that are static. It might be someone running a site in home or mining. I don't know. Something.
I mean, it's kind of gone to, though, like, yeah, they could be PvEing or something in their home, but it's like a lot of people like sit logged into TeamSpeak and play other games, so, and wait for something in Eve to happen, which is why hey, let's have our leaders combo each other and set up a fight kind of mentality came from. That's my opinion. I
understand what you're saying.
I could totally see it on the HK side, like, people just waiting for fights, or people doing stuff in their bear holes or something like that, and all of a sudden they come back to, pings for heavy armor, Sleipnirs, or whatever, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, and this is why I don't like that style. I mean, this is why I built MCAV the way I built it, which is that I am not interested in this gameplay where it's about finding another wormhole group. I mean, it's about finding fucking anything and having the tools to your hand to exploit that, right? So, we see C2 groups, whatever, the camping high sec, right? Bait sigils, they're free, you can get them, you do it, right? Sabers are a great example of one of those tools. You find someone ratting in the static at a dread, I don't know, I'm just making shit up. Or other content creation ships. Someone sees, and you gotta tune. What I try to do is I try to tune my members' brains so that they know things that they can look for. Like someone they jumped into a high sec. They saw it was a 0.5 D scan. Orca unscan. Let's get someone to covert ship scan that so we can see if it has a DC2. Oh, it has one. Forget it. But if it didn't, you do a high sec gank. We go out there, saw a paladin, and it's running a mission, and it's like combats. I think we had like less than 10 catalysts. 0.5, done deal, right? And you
Mhm.
just kind of find things to do. And when you have all those different streams of inconsistent content, you will end up with consistent content, right? So I don't know, the whole Bushido thing, it just bothers me because it just seems really clumsy, and people
No, no,
counter each
it's
other, people
another
clipboard each other.
it's another stream of content though to the wormhole, like not content to the leaders, but just the content avenue for like the corps against each other. I mean, what would you have if you didn't have the two like leaders convoying each other, a bunch of shit talking local, and just the FCs forming fleets to counter each other constantly until they like
This
formed up to armor?
this is hard to explain
That's what
because
it like evolves to. Like that's
okay,
in our recent engagement
this
with
is hard to explain. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, we had a recent engagement with Laserhawks where it evolved to heavy armor. Like that's what it just evolved to. Like the fights we did nano gang first, like 5-man versus 5-man, then it was 10 versus 10, 15 versus 15. All of a sudden we got enough dudes on to do like armor, and all of a sudden like all it takes is armor question mark in local or in some channels or in Slack, and then they're like yeah, and then they're fucking go balls out against each other.
Yeah, and that your ability to do that is because like you build relationships with these groups, and they will do that, right? And we had that with Novak when they were a little bigger. We
Mm-hmm.
went a couple of rounds doing that, and we were able to set that up. And it wasn't crap where it was like, oh, like when we saw each other and the masses were correct, I'd be at work and they'd be like, we really want to, it's like, hey, we want to do an armor fight, and I'll be like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We picked someone our own size, and we were pretty even in power and numbers or whatever around then. And it was like, okay, we're gonna meet here at this time in 3 hours. I'll be home from work. I'll go, fucking jerk off or whatever, and then I'll come on Eve, and then we'll do this. And you bring the worst you could possibly bring. Just do your worst, and we're gonna do our worst to you, and then we'll meet you over there. And then
Mm-hmm.
we did, and it worked out. And it was like there was no fucking rules to that. It was like anything goes. Do your worst.
This is when you guys
Bring
were
it on.
connected in chain.
Yeah, when they would roll into us, or we would roll into them, or there's some shared static, and we noticed the masses were good.
With Laserhawks and Shekel Squad, but like Shekel Squad, EUTZ, they're like setting up a fight for USTZ, but then EUTZ, they're just like straight up rolls on them. And this is like, yeah,
I heard about that in passing. I didn't follow all the drama.
yeah, this is like where the Bushido like goes to the extreme on the other side of like, no, we want to like deny you guys fights, or we want to focus on our own content, and we're gonna deny you a fight and focus on ourselves, which they have every right to, and they can. But then you're like, hey, we connected in chain, why aren't you fighting us? Type of deal, which is, I don't know, it's you're stuck from both ends, whatever side you get.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that these relationships you build with corps, individual corps, and you know who you can do this with, you can't. That I gave Novak as an example because they are the one and only example I can possibly use, and that's past Novak. That's not even now. That was a very different corp back then.
Have you done that
But
with recent Novak, where we're like, hey, you want to fight? Do you have enough for armor? Yes, no, maybe so. Let's do, oracles or whatever. Let's do Nano Gang. Let's do.
sure.
HK has a rupture fleet that I like to use, so yeah, ruptures. Woo.
But yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like I have done some arrange with them afterwards because they've been trying to recover their numbers and get back up to strength and whatever, and we totally eclipse them. We'll have 30 guys in fleet and they'll have 8. Like.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, so now that's a great moment to arrange, right? Where you really need to. There's not going to be a fight if you don't arrange here, right? Because it's totally fucked.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the other groups, I mean, like, there's no reason to have much of a discussion about it. Like, there is no shortage of willing Laserhawks pilots to get in their armor ships and shoot at MCAV. There is absolutely no shortage. So, like, they will be able. I don't have to say a goddamn thing. They see armor and MCAV on their overview, like they're coming. So that's no big deal, right? So there's no fucking discussion that's necessary.
Does MCAV fight in armor?
Oh goodness.
I don't know.
So again, like, I mean, do you want me to do this? I feel like I do this every day with you.
Not to the podcast, you don't.
I can explain. And honestly, this is. I'll tie it in. I'll tie it in.
I mean,
with Bushido.
do you want to go?
Tie this in.
Do you want to
No,
go
I'll
into
do
that
this.
one
I'll
day?
do this. This is how I can
Okay,
tie this
go.
all in. So in the event, in the what is it? In the spirit of fighting in armor and not arranging, I started to sit down and I was looking at the strength of MCAV versus the strength of the rest of W space, and I could count on one deformed hand how many armor groups would actually be a challenge to fight us straight up based on how armor works, right? And it was like, man, there's not many. And I considered it at that point not worth it to have a formal armor gang in the way that all of you are imagining what armor gangs look like. What I did find, however, was a shitload of corps that form up armor for fucking everything, and their doctrines are shit and their fleets are shit. And I realized that if I just warped in 1,000 DPS Proteuses and a couple of Balgorns, they would all fold instantly to that.
User joined
And
your
I don't
channel.
need to respect their fleets at all. Unfortunately, that left us
Disconnected.
without an armor doctrine to fight the other top groups, which upsets them very much. So at the time, I was just like, you know what? If that ever happens, we'll form up Macarials and we'll just see how that goes. And we'll never. We don't really need this other doctrine, because my whole point of view was, when is that fight coming? When does that fight exist? And I didn't think it existed.
It's like once every 2 months. Yeah.
And I just hated that, and I'm asking my members to buy some expensive armor doctrine that they don't fucking need. Meanwhile, we're out there fragging like crazy in Proteuses, laughing all the way to the bank with the fucking loot. And it was just like hard to justify, like, do I really give a shit about all this Bushido nonsense? Oh, you have to fight armor, you have to fight. Do I though? Like, do we though? Like, do we have to fight armor? Really? Like, who made up that rule? What's that fake rule that we made up, right? I wasn't down with that, and I was just like, I understand.
Just gonna blame Rooks and Kings for this one.
I was gonna understand it's gonna make 3 groups really upset, and then I was just like, fuck them, like whatever, like we can just figure that out when we come to it. Now, I have decided recently that we were running into these groups enough, and some other groups were really gaining strength again. Even Novak was tapping me on the shoulder like, hey, we want to do armor again with you, because we're kind of getting back on our feet and whatever. And then I started seeing the rise of some other corps,
Like the other corps in C5 space that are coming up.
Yeah,
moving
C4 corps moved to C5 space, and I'm thinking about the
40
Glory
man
Haulers.
of sound mind fleets. Like, holy
I'm
shit.
thinking about of sound mind, and I'm just gonna throw in for fun. I'm just gonna throw No Sov in there just because they came to C5 space, but they're nowhere near the strength they need to be. I'm just throwing them in just to throw it in there.
Man, they can fight armor. Macarials, man, top notch.
Anyway, after seeing that, I decided, okay, it is now worth it to have an armor doctrine because these fights exist. But you gotta remember where the W space was 4 months ago, or whenever I made that fucking doctrine, whenever the fucking rework was. I don't even remember when it was. That's what I was trying to do, and it was this whole anti-Bushido thing, which was that most of these corps are forming up half-baked 3 Guardians, like 3 other ships. 4 other ships, 2 of them are different than the others. Like, it's not a fleet. It's not suit and tie. It's not put together. It's not really formal. It's everyone with whatever ship they can fly, with whatever SP they have. And it was just like, I'm not going to sit here and arrange fights with that and fly with some overly complicated Loki doctrine or whatever the flavor of the month is right now that we don't need.
These are the kind of people that are like, oh, you can only bring 3 Guardians to match our Guardians, and oh, you brought more DPS than us. Fuck that.
We're not doing that. Like, I don't understand what to do about that. And I was thinking, like, fine, and we have and just to loop back around again, I was just thinking about that balance where it was just like, I don't need to arrange fucking armor fights with fucking anybody. I'm gonna fly wherever the fuck I want, and I have all these other doctrines I can fight them with. Like, why do I have to have this? Because everyone who makes these armor doctrines knows this criteria, right? It has to be capitalist guns. It has to be you have to have all this redundancy. You have to have this. You have to have that.
I don't know if you were around during the day, but back in the day, people actually used to fly the Nullsec Doctrine Ishtars, back when Ishtars were a big thing, against heavy armor fights, and alpha people's Guardians and alpha their chains, 2-shot them. Back in the day, rolled out one of my previous corps, we used to fly vultures, unironically, and 2-shot people's Guardians. We used that doctrine twice, but it worked out perfectly each time because it was hilarious, because we'd warp in at 70, where nothing in heavy armor touches you at all, and you just shoot Guardians, and they get so pissed off because you kill the Guardians because you can track them really well, and you're shooting into a good resist profile into them as well. And it's just, it's so easy, so funny. You just completely counter their doctrine and their idea, and they're like, you're supposed to be brawling us in heavy armor. Who said that? Who made up that rule?
Yeah, I mean we've done similar things where it's like, look, we see something, we want to fight it in any way possible, right? I had a fight against Posby a little while ago. Okay, we didn't have anybody on. We had like 7 guys on. Posby had some fleet of shield stuff for Bassies, some Nighthawks, doesn't matter. And like a Hugin was there, etc. So in order to fight something for Bassies, we would with 7 guys, it's not going to work. There's nothing we could do, like, if we're going to brawl that out, right? But I was like, okay, we'll fight you. That's all I said to them. I said, we're going to fight you. So what did we do? We warped tornadoes 50 above the wormhole. We one-shot the
How did I
Hugin.
fucking know? Tornadoes.
We one-shot the Hugin, and we warped back. I warped everyone back home. We were pissing our pants how much we were laughing. And they were fucking furious, as probably they should have been. But what was I supposed to do? There was no doctrine that would have worked besides that, right? So what am I supposed to do? Do I care about Posby's feelings, or do I care about my own corp? I care about my own corp more. I knew it would be fun if we could do this, and we did it, and it worked. So, and why did I pick the Hugin? Lowest DHP. It's the most likely to succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to like really weigh, like, do you care? I mean, I like to say that I have like that people saying that I'm doing the Hidden Freeman or whatever, where it's like literally fuck everybody and just make your corp members happy. And that was one of those moments where that's a Hidden Freeman moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, I don't give 2 shits about you and your feelings or what you think about our corp. It's just like, I'm trying to make my corp really fun for my guys, and arranging fights with you is not going to be fun. So, fuck it. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm going to do that, every single time just to piss them off, right? But, like, if I...
Like, maybe when you get the
back
dudes
into a
next
corner like
time.
that.
People gotta understand, like, some groups just don't have the dudes, and, like, you just gotta say that sometimes. Like, hey, we don't got the dudes. Or don't have the fleet comp to match yours. Not even to match, to, like, stand a chance. And, yeah.
You could do what you got to do to get the fights, and that's how I always want to think about this game. And there is some good in all of the e-honor that goes on. There is some good there where people want to make fun fights, or they want whatever. Like any group that comes to me and they say, hey, we want to fight MCAV and armor, but we want to have some level of trust built between us, so that if we jump into your home, you're not going to dread bomb, and if you jump into our home, we're not going to dread bomb.
Oh, I haven't seen that happen in a while, other than...
Well, we had it with Novak, and it was really great. We were we lost a fight to Novak in our home. We blah 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 armor fight didn't work.
When was this?
A while ago.
Okay,
pre T3 changes.
Okay, so like the old Novak.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the second iteration.
We lost in our home, and we just sat there and watched the Apostle die, because we're not gonna... I mean, could we have just gotten in a dread bomb and dread bombed them? Yeah, obviously. But it's not about that. It's just about like, okay, you won the grid, and we're gonna let it go. Because it's just like, I'm not... That's the one thing I'll subscribe to, which is that, look, we had a fight, kills, back and forth. We did a whole thing. You're not ganking a ratting ship, whatever. But it's like, they would never jump into our home again if we took action. Like, could we have saved that apostle? Yeah, but I'm sorry, dude, because like, I can't. If I save you, like, that's the deal. It's like, we don't want to dread bomb each other, right? Because then we're gonna have to wait to shared statics, and it literally cuts us down. But a third of the fights we would have gotten are the ones that are left. We have to have a magically shared static between the two of us with full mass. When the fuck is that gonna happen? It's not. So
very rarely.
Okay, so then we have to have some sort of level of respect about dread bombing, because any corp worth their salt has a bunch of dreads that they can just warp in, right? That's the only piece I subscribe to, because I don't see any other way you can get these armor fights if you want them. Otherwise, fuck it, let's do something else.
I don't know how SSC ever got fights, because they always dread bomb their home.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will say this. I mean, if any corp out there is like interested in that sort of relationship, that relationship is something we are interested in, and it is earned, because we did it. I mean, to Novak, and they saw. I mean, we showed to them, and we never jumped into their home. The stars didn't align that way. But it was just kind of like, but we would. Even today, we still feel that way. At least I still feel that way about them, because they remember what it was like before, and I still have that level of respect to go back and forth. That being said, never in a fucking 1,000 years would I be jumping into TI's home when they existed. We saw a dread in their home a long time ago, and we just tackled it with 100 of men, and we didn't form armor, because we knew that we would get dread bombed if we caught this dread. It was like not rolling a hole. It was sieging a structure or something. It was super weird. Doesn't matter. Let's not even go there.
Oh, I did that to Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
But anyway, I'm not going to commit armor to that because I'm not fucking retarded. Like I know what's going to happen if I did that, right?
I thought the same exact thing with wholesale operations when we caught a roll mining in their home when we shared a static, and like it ended up being my dread that had to go in there and kill his Rorqual because he was cap injected and he just was tanking our heavy armor fleet. And it was super scary being in somebody else's home with a single dread, knowing that they willingly dread bomb all the time.
Yeah. And look, if you can have the defensive bubbles in place and you can set it up correctly, that's fine. I mean, you could manage your risk. But I decided, we saw how many that in this scenario that TI had, and we just decided against it. And we got a great fight out of the whole thing. Because we're just, let's just hold this nag here for all eternity, and then they'll come save it. And they formed up slip nerves, and then we fucking killed them. And it was fun. And, the nag became unpointed at some point because, whatever, we're fighting the Slipner gang and whatnot. But I was never about that. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm deciding here is I'm deciding what is going to be the most fun for my guys, right? I'm not trying to win every single fight from every single possible angle, from every single possible point of view. I have to kill everything all the time. No, I really don't. I really am just trying to make fun things occur. But if they I don't know what I would have done if things happened differently, but they warped in a Slipner gang and we fought it. And it was good. And we got dank frags and whatever, and they got their neg out, I guess, and it was good. Anyway, it's really harder to talk about this than I thought it would be.
It is, yeah. It's hard to describe what we're describing because it's like on a such different level than, shit talking a local when you meet another Wormhole Corp, which usually just happens anyway.
I gotta tell you, I feel bad. I feel bad for Laserhawks because they fucking have to jump into everybody. Who the fuck jumps into their pulsar? I mean,
Nobody.
If they're fighting armor, first of all, if they're fighting armor, they have to jump out, right? I mean, that'd be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. Nobody has a shield doctrine other than Sleipners. I remember the last time we jumped into Laserhawk's home, I was FCing, and there was like Sleipners versus Sleipners, and it was a pulsar, so you can't alpha worth dick in a pulsar because of the shield HP bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they just kept warping in simmies, and like they had 8 simmies at the end of the day when it was like 20 people from them total. So it's like literally a third of their fleet was simmies, more than a third. But they ended up like apologizing afterwards because it's not a good fight. Then we maybe had 4 simmies. Just it's not a good fight if you just like blob people with Logi or blob people with dreads in their home. It's just it just makes the other group run away. Or want to run away. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just in general, I just fucking feel bad. Because they must be used to it. I mean, like defensive bubbles are just their way of life and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to have. I think it's tough to be them. And I think that'd be an interesting person to talk about, Wormhole Bushido. Because first of all, they're the Hidden Freeman actual corp, and two, it's no secret. There's no shortage of people that have fucking hate Laserhawks with the Fire of 1,000 Suns.
That's true.
So I don't think it's going to be really hard to get anyone to fucking listen to you when you actually want to do okay, let's do some fun, let's do some fights, let's have some honor between each other, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Oh, there's a couple other examples of Wormhole Bushido that doesn't have to technically deal with the fights too that I want to bring up, like the Nosov, be Kyle Parthos' alliance moving to a C5 space, and he left his connection open to his anchoring fort. And HK wasn't bad for him, but we scouted it and went to go kill it with a fleet. And there's some sort of there's some elements of Wormhole Bushido that I wanted to talk about here that deal with that.
This is good. Yeah, this is good.
There's a corp moving to C5 space that wants to PvP and is adamant with their position moving to C5 space. Really confident, really outgoing. Corp, or I should say alliance, that wants to PvP in C5 space. Do you kill their fort so they can't come to C5 space? There was an actual question in my mind there. Do I actually want to kill their fort? And we ended up actually killing their first fort that they anchored. But then the second time, you came along with us when we went through their static with a whole bunch of frigates and T3Ds when they were killing their second fort, and I had a conversation with you before that. It's do we actually want to kill their fort? Do we just want to go for an Asbel or something just for their frags and actually let them get set up in C5 space? Because it's not like we legitimately feel bad for them. It's I don't want to keep impeding them and knocking them down a notch. You want them to grow so you can, I don't know, pardon the pun, but so you can cultivate them yourselves later when they're actually fully grown, you know, so you can more people to shoot, more people to kill.
It's all true, but as for our conversation then, this is not our fucking problem.
Yeah,
It
that's
really
true.
isn't. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, no one's gonna show me any mercy. No one showed me any mercy anyway. So, like, that's just the way it goes, dude. And, like, yeah, we made an attempt to hold it, and if you can't, and I think this is what we said. No, this is what my girlfriend said, actually. Because she was actually talking to me, and I was making dinner or something, and I was like, man, we're gonna go after this guy's fort, and it's to be the second time it dies, and blah, 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 and we're gonna have to jump through this crit static, and, you know, how I had this whole, gave her the whole story. And my girlfriend, who plays Eve kind of on and off, she was like, if they can't hold it against Anyos and Confessors, then they probably shouldn't be in C5 space anyways, so, like, it's not your problem. I wouldn't worry about it.
That's true.
So, like, and they did. They held it in, what, 11% structure? Something
11% structure at 9 seconds for, like, 10 minutes it was there when we were holding it. We got it down to 11% structure and 9 seconds left in the timer. And we just, like, kept bleeding dudes in the most glorious fight that I've been in a while.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, like, they had just enough to hold off the frigate blob.
Mm-hmm. They went about doing it all in the wrong ways, which I feel so much to learn. But I hope they're not just, like, a group that rules on everybody else. Like, man.
I mean, that's what I said to him. That's what I said to him in a Cool Kid Best Friends Club channel, where I was just kind of like, you know, all right, congrats on your morale boost and whatever, and make it happen, dude. Like, the question is now, like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna roll on everybody, or are you gonna put that fort to use and you're gonna try to make this work? And it's not gonna happen overnight, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're gonna be shit for like a long time, like over a year.
Forever.
Yeah, they're going to be, I mean, at the very least, they're going to be shit for 12 months.
Yeah.
But
I know,
okay.
Kyle convoed me afterwards about it, and he was like, that was the best fight he's had since World War B. I'm like, where have you been since World War B, first of all? He's been in C4 space. I'm like, well, there's your, yeah.
Or there's your problem.
Yeah, like, what are you going to do in C4 space? Fight each other's, you know, prophecies? I don't know.
Good God, dude. Fine. Oh man, but no, I mean it's just kind of like good. It's great that you're there, but I mean it's all on you to make it happen there, right? And I'm great that we've christened their forward and 11% structure, whatever it was, fine. But like if you're gonna earn anybody's respect in W space, right? I mean it's about every fucking day, right? I mean like I get called out for all kinds of shit, right? You called me out in this podcast, right? You're like, oh, you guys don't even have an armor doctrine XD, right? And I have to fucking explain myself.
Called out your materials too.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, it's gonna happen, and you gotta roll with those fucking punches, and you can either fucking step up to the plate and fight these groups and kick their ass, or you can go hide in a C4 and say you don't like C5 politics. I mean,
or just hide in a C5 like Roll Cell Operations and just roll away at all. Woo!
Oh my god.
Or like
but
Chester.
I mean, like this whole fucking Bushido thing. I mean, like on like a lot of different levels. One of the best things that you can do is just invest in yourselves, invest in your corp, invest in your corp's fun, and that's the number one thing you always have to do. And if you can make an arrangement with a group that actually works, and I've had one that has worked this whole time. Everybody else has been terrible, and I've cut off all those kind of like deals. Most groups notice that like maybe they think I'm mean or whatever. Maybe I am, but I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk because I know talking to you is going to make the fight worse. Every fucking line typing to these other leaders, I know it's going to make the fight fucking worse. So I don't want to talk.
We fought MCAV last, but I literally convoed, or Sirocco convoed me or whatever, and we talked, and I was like, let's fight. And then that's it. Like, we went up to their home and like we fucking started fighting. There was no like arrangement, no whatever. And that right there is what I think everyone should work towards. Instead of we got 8 dudes online, we can bring 6 prophecies and 2 guardians if you want to fight that.
No, that's my problem. No, that's my problem. Put a fleet, scout my fucking Foedus or whatever, my home, and you figure it out. It's not up to me to tell you what's okay, and it's not up to you to tell me, like, I'm gonna pick my shit, you're gonna pick your shit. And if there's like some massive problem where I have a fleet of 30 guys and you have a fleet of 8, okay, we have something to discuss at that point.
We'll log off some else, which HK usually does. We just like fly just mains then at that point and fly like a T1 doctrine or something to match them.
Right.
Like
I mean, at the end of the day, too, we're looking to have a good fight as well.
Yeah.
So, like, if we see what these guys have online,
we're not going to be
the scout. We're watching you. We see how many you have. We see what you're docking and undocking. We're already watching. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're not going to blob you in like slaved Lokis like 24/7. Who the fuck does that?
If we see your forts at 11, and then we're watching it go 12, 16, 18, 20, 22, like, okay, they're pinging, so we should ping, right? We're just going to play. We're going to play off that, right? We're going to see what you're. But if we see it's at 8 and it's solid, and suddenly a bunch of nano gang on docks, or they're fucking around with whatever, they're not pinging, we're not gonna ping. Why would we do that? It's gonna make the fight worse. Fuck it. Like, I'm just interested in it being fun for my guys, not your guys, my guys. I'm interested in it being fun for, right? And blobbing the living shit out of you with 30 guys to your, like, whatever, it's stupid. I don't want to do that either. It's really not that enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to ping, I won't.
Do you want to talk about content citadels at all?
I never done one.
We put that down there and just, I don't know.
People do it.
HK's done it before to Eve Uni. So Eve Uni is where mocap is a C2 high sec. Like a C4 or C3, whatever. It doesn't matter. But like, we anchored a citadel and then came back there with a fleet 24 hours later. Not in the intention, it's like a fake invasion, right? So people like actually have to form up to kill it. To like, you know, because they think it's an invasion, right? But it could actually be evasion. It couldn't be an invasion. They don't know. So they form up like it's an invasion, and you get like a fake invasion fight out of it. And one of the most recent ones where people had good fights on both sides was, I think it was TT Sin anchored at Content Citadel in Pospey's home, and both sides bat phoned to the walls. And Pospey dropped caps in their C4, which they have a home field advantage with. They did cap blob, but they lost some, and they had a wonderful fight, I heard. But like, that's it's just another way to like extract content from other people's homes, I guess.
Yeah.
But you're expecting the cap blob then from a competent group.
I wouldn't do a content. Oh my god! I mean, even in. Yeah, I mean, like, you're gonna get cap blobbed all the time.
I do it in like a C4 group's home, or maybe a C5 group's where you like know that they're not gonna fit the caps. That's the smart way.
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I've never done it. Like, what we try to do, I mean, like, we do a lot of strong checks for the remaining passes. So I was doing one today, and then we decide, like, do we want to take it a little further?
I'll come back for it.
Yeah. So, like, well, I can drop these big leaks, right? So, Kyle, I hope you're listening. The reason why this happened to you in your home with your structures was because we strong checked that pos that had those caps in it. There was a pos in there with like 3 caps in it with no defenses. They strong checked it once, and then we came back and we strong checked it again, and we noticed it had 1 hour less of strong. So we were like, did he run out? And then we were like, we should do something about this. And we were like getting ready to log off stuff in there. I was going to seed a dread. I was going to bubble it up, do all this stuff, and we're going to go blow up that pos at like some ass crack time of the morning. And then suddenly Laserhawks, and they were in the chain, and we started fighting them, and we had this whole fight with Laserhawks, blah 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 blah. And by the time I was done with that, I didn't really feel like doing anything with this pos anymore. I was like, I'm tired. I don't care. Fucking no sub, who gives a shit? And we left. But I left the scanner logged off in there just to watch. And when I logged it back in, there was anchoring structures everywhere. So we actually had 2 scanners in there, and then we did our trickery to get out and get a fleet in and whatever. Now, unfortunately, we had to do it in frigates, and I was kicking myself that I didn't see the dread, and I didn't follow through, and I didn't actually do all that shit. But it would have been cool if I did. But yeah, so that's pretty much what happened with
We would have killed their fort, Tiny, if we had a dread.
Yep. I was gonna see my Phoenix. It was gonna be fun.
If only we had a dread.
But you know, whatever. But yeah, that we do that more so. Something along those lines, not like the anchoring thing. I don't know. But not to say we won't do it. It's just that we haven't done it. So it is what it is. It's a way to create content. If you're getting good fights from Content Citadels, I mean, Jesus fuck, it costs you 1 build. Give it a shot. Why not do it?
It's a little off the wormhole topic, but it's still in the same lines. The HK does this with nullsec. And just like random structures in nullsec to see if people show up for it or not. Usually indie structures, so we get like a payout from it. We like RF, just do the whole 7-day cycle for a nullsec structure because it's really non-committal.
Yeah.
And you just make people form 100-man defense fleets in Macarials for it. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can get something good from it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it all depends. I like the nullsec one kind of a lot because you could do that pretty easily. Find a
Yeah.
system a group that you think you can legit take, reinforce, leave. Then when it's time soon, scan a nearby wormhole, connect it, go back in, do the armor timer, leave. And you just keep that going. Structure timer, form up again.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. You can even bring a wormhole group with you if they really had a lot.
The amount of Asbels that are in nullsec, just the RF too, absolutely insane. Satoyos too; those are becoming really, really popular.
Yeah, I could see that.
And unfit
Yeah.
Satoyos too. Ship scan a Satoyo once in nullsec to see if it's actually fit. You won't believe it. The amount of that are just like fit with the rigs or whatever to make
Wow.
caps and supers.
And just nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Maybe an easy quick RF.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, but yeah, I mean, just to suck it back into W space. I mean, a lot of this Bushido stuff is just kind of like, it all depends on the person. But I
True.
would stay away from it. I would stay away from it as much as possible. I mean, like, if you remotely have your fucking shit together, you can tackle something. They're doing something. I mean, yeah, there's corps that are totally AFK, and that sucks. But come the fuck on. They're doing something, and you can find something that they're doing, and you can tackle it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pretend like you're weak, and you can kill it with like a Dreamiel and a Saber and a Caracal, and you can sit there, and then you can form up a bigger gang, and they warp in some shit, and you tackle that, and boom, like you can really like create something. I don't know, but like your last line of defense should be arranging, unless it's a group that you've really built up that relationship with, and that takes time, especially if you're new. I mean, relationships take time.
Mm-hmm.
That does not happen overnight. I mean, like they're either going to respect you for fighting or they're going to not, and that takes many fights and many occasions and whatever. That's not something that you can ask for in a chat one time.
Or you can just bait out a heavy armor fight with a roll call.
That'd
That'd be pretty easy.
So we should segue into some
Yeah,
story time.
that brings us to a story time, guys.
All right, you go first, my dude.
Damn, do I have to go first?
Well, you segued, my dude.
Oh, I guess. Okay. I'm gonna talk about the fight. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did, like with who was the last time? Oh, some of mine. Yeah, gonna do like an AAR of a fight on like how it was set up, shit like that. So you can like, I don't know, get an idea of like how fights and how shit's set up. I don't know how I like to set them up. Anyway, we fought a shekel squad. In cat's just like fucking jumping all over the place. I'm gonna cut this part out. Give me a second.
Should I play
Fucking
some
cat.
elevator music here?
No, it's fine. Okay. So HK and Shekel Squad fought in a famous hole known as Polaris. Used to be Noho's old home, and there was a Rorqual that was bat phoned. What we ended up happening was we had one of our dudes from Nullsec, one of our friends from Nullsec, who likes to feed us intel. He convos, or he X's up in Shekel Squad's public channel, and people end up convoying him. He baits him through a process, gets him through the process, gets him in chain, gets him, all the details. Like, they kept asking him, is the hole full mast, is the hole blah blah blah, is it not crit, blah blah blah. He's still sieged, he's still mining away. This whole time, it's bait. Whole time, our fleet was logged off. HK's fleet was logged off in the hole, ready to go, ready to pounce. And Shekel bit the bait pretty hard. It was like let me bring up the BR. It was like 25 man fleet that they brought into the hole. Completely, I have to give. Let me bring up the BR here. Shekel set this up pretty well for themselves. I do commend them for that, because they came prepared. Specifically in the mid slots for the Lokis, they refit for tracking disruptors, which it was a C6 Magnetar, which you could expect. C6 Magnetar being one of HK's bear holes, that it'd be, there'd be a bunch of dreads in there, right? So what they did was they bring tracking disruptors in the mids of the Lokis. I think every single one of their Lokis actually had a tracking disruptor on it, and they tracking disrupt the two dreads that we logged in the site, which was pretty brilliant of them. I didn't think that they'd think of that, to do that, but that made their fleet vulnerable, really vulnerable to like an actual T3 fleet. And they had everything prepared. They had their scouts down the chain, the scouts in the K space, watching the K space to see if people came. They landed the fleet on the grid. We waited to, like, spring the trap until they're confident. We logged in one dread, logged in another dread, and all of a sudden logged in the fleet, warped the fleet to the site, and just, it was cleanup from there. Just trying to catch them. But, yeah. I don't know if there's nothing else to talk about. We killed 9 bill worth of the T3s from Shekel Squad. But it's all
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. I guess it's all in the planning of it, and this is like what we're going through our minds when we're like trying to make up a scenario like this. Like, hey, who haven't we fought in W space in a while, and who do we want to fight, and how do we bait them out rather than just seeing them in chains? Like, hey, let's use a bait rorqual, because a bait dread used to be the thing to do. Like, you'd see somebody would like fake bat phone you for a site running fleet when you'd have their actual gang logged off in system as well. I had this done to me, and it's been done to other groups before, but it hasn't been done for a while, so I figured that we'd bring it back in doing the whole, log off traps. Yeah, here's the Loki. Had, micro warp drive, compact tracking disruptor, and scram fit for the Lokis, which is really smart bombs as well. It just didn't work out for them. I believe their FC also said he was like willing to actually take the fight if they didn't have the dreads, which is a bold move in my opinion, because their mids and their Lokis were fit with all tracking disruptors in their flight. Like, single-handedly, fleet of Lokis versus fleet of Lokis, right? You'd think like your mid slots would be countering the Lokis, but their mid slots and their Lokis were actually countering the dreads. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, dude.
I don't know. We just really wanted to fight Shekel Squad, so banning them out. Using that, we talked on their comms quite a bit afterwards, trying to explain why we did it, and a lot of them really, really, really hated that we did it for some reason. I mean,
it's easy for me to say, but it's hard for me to find anything wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
I do the same to you. I mean, like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing it to other people, you have to be able to be like, what if someone did it to me? I mean, like, yeah, I'd be upset, but it's just like, okay, we're not blue, so.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of something. C6 Magnetar, your lock range is like cut in half almost, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like guardian positioning. If you're a guardian anchor in any sort of Magnetar or any sort of, this is where your like guardian anchor actually shines here. I straight up told my guardians to anchor on the Lokis just to stay as close to us as possible, because I knew DPS wasn't going to matter. Your guardian position, it's not a matter like whether your guardians can rep you at all, rep the DPS from the Magnetar. It's whether they can lock you in time to like actually save you, as far as like range goes. So in that kind of situation, I'd have your like guardians as close to your Lokis as possible, because they had their Lokis burn down from where the ships were tackled and the ships were landing. They just straight up said burn down. They're all their Lokis were burning with micro warp drives down. Meanwhile, the guardians were still 70k above them in a blob of like 5 or 6 guardians, being completely useless up there, not doing anything, because they're like too far away to rep at all, and their Lokis are just getting decimated in their fleet. This is like where you don't even care about their Lokis or care about their guardians. You just like keep going Loki after Loki after Loki after Loki. So
understandable. Yeah, it's like I think wormhole effects get lost in a lot of gangs too. It's funny how people try to ignore them.
Speaking of wormhole effects getting lost, I once flew a Vindicator fleet in a black hole.
Ugh.
Yeah, I didn't think it affected that much, but like Vindicators versus HFIs and T3s, especially with the speed bonus of a black hole and the web debuff from a black hole. Yeah, you can't track with a shit.
I lost a nano bow in a black hole to fucking Tuskers. I was very upset.
Why's that? You couldn't align at all?
Well, I have double webs on nano bow, so I am webbing this stiletto. I have it neutered out, but it just has its scram on me, and I can't hit it, and it's not webbing is not enough. It's out of capacitor, but it can keep putting its scram back on, obviously. And I can't move, and I'm very upset because I saw this fucking stiletto coming a long way out. I did lock it in time, I webbed it in time, but it doesn't fucking matter. God fucking damn it.
Yeah. TLDR,
my nano bow.
Wormhole effects are important.
Yep.
So, you tell your story. Your story's better.
Okay, so I'm going to tell a story of one of my favorite recruits, favorite members all time in MCAB. But this was technically Redfire when this happened, but it's the same corp. Anyway, so there was this guy. Well, there was this guy named Shits first who joined, and he was like a friend of the guys from Blue Fire. And for whatever reason, they maybe didn't want him in Blue Fire, so they told him to go to me. And eventually, he brought his cousin Richie along. And these guys were from Alabama, and they're
Oh, jeez.
yeah, they're like pretty southern, right? So these guys, in understanding Richie's, I mean, we'll just focus on Richie because that's what I'm talking about. Richie's understanding of the game was, you know, forming up oracles to grind passes in nullsec and stuff like that, and run sites to get loot. And he was in IG under Oriku, if anyone knows what that is. So like, Jesus Christ, right? So that's kind of like where he comes from, right? And meanwhile, I'm this like young CEO with all these crazy ideas about how Nanogang and W Space is the greatest thing ever, and how no one understands me and whatever. So we always had these rules where you don't have to participate in anything if you don't want to. That's like a very core rule to MCAB. If you don't want to go, please don't go. And he took full advantage of that for months and months and months and months. And like, well, not that many months, but he was just out there. Like, he was playing from like he was a time capsule. Like, he was farming belts in an oracle. Like, he had like, he was trying to adjust to the game, and we would see him and like farming a belt or whatever, and as we're going out in NEOs or going out in Nano. And we'd be like, do you want to come with us? And he's like, no, not really. And he's just like kept doing his thing. And we're like, okay. So eventually one night, Richie was like, you got to show me what you guys are doing. Like, you guys are always going out on these nano gangs. Like, I don't understand it, whatever. So I went and I gave him like a bunch of molluses, and I'm like, all right, you know, I briefly explained to him what E-War was and how to do it and what a rapier was and why it's important to damp things and whatever. So he went out and we started flying these gangs, and he was with us, and it was difficult for him, but he was getting it. Like, he was seeing how it works, and he was seeing how anti-support and DPS and E-War all work together, and how we really cover each other. And you got to understand, I mean, a lot of people approach this game where they're thinking about Eve in the way that is some function of DPS to Logi to maybe some web as an application, and it's all about anchoring, and it's all about listening to the FC. And I just dunked him in this environment where him and his T1 frigate is literally changing the battle based on his piloting, and if he keeps this rapier damped, we're going to be able to kill this Cinnable, and then we'll be able to kill the rapier, and then he can damp out any Logi that comes in, and have this derpy T1 frigate, and it's all on him. And, you know, and we did this initially. We got a fight, we got some kills, and then we lost stuff, and he died, and we were too basically crippled to continue. So we went back, and he was just like, that was amazing. Like, he came to me so elated. Like, he was like, I didn't know that's what you guys were doing. And it was like, well, yeah. And he was like, so we call this your Nano Gang epiphany, okay? And he was so elated that he had this playstyle in this game that he had no fucking idea even existed. And he's like, I need to do it again. He's like, I'm getting another mollusk. So we get another mollusk, we go it again. He does a little bit better, and he's doing the same things. He's damping out a curse, and he's damping out a rapier, and he's like holding the grid down. He's doing his thing, and he's out of position, and he dies, and whatever. But he was just like, he's had his fucking mind blown. And these are the things that really keep you going when you're CEO of an alliance or whatever, because it's just like a lot of fucking work and a lot of pain and tears and shit fucking constantly. But when you see someone go from farming a belt and an oracle to that fucking happy and that excited about the game, it makes you really feel that you really have something special. And I never forget moments like that. I remember people that are in Corp today. I know my number one recruiter. It's like witnessing a baby being born. It's like, I remember his Nano Gang epiphany. I remember seeing it. You never forget it, because it's just like they get their shell, their whole world breaks apart, and they see the forest through the trees finally. Like, they fucking get it.
I think everyone has like a PvP epiphany like that. I had one when I got ganked. I was like a high sec mission runner before I was like did anything significant in Eve. And I got ganked with a war deck because they like combat skipped me on the side, and I didn't know anything about the game. I ended up joining them, right, and finding my own targets to kill, finding my own mission runners who were just like me. And it was the greatest thing ever, because I would hunt high sec mission runners when I was in this war deck corp. It was the best. It really brought me onto the game. That's what kept me in the game.
And honestly, I always love to say how Nano Gang is a huge component in people's, and at least in our culture's understanding, because like, you rethink every ship it makes you question everything. Like I brought up nanobell like it's nothing, right? And that's just like, what the fuck is a nanobell, right? But like, no, it's a thing. It works. I would not never call it good, but you can make this work in certain situations. It can work. It's very slow, but it works, and you have a sphere of influence. It's amazing, you know. And he was so excited about damps, and he was just like, "What else can damp?" And I'm like, "Well, how about the Celestis?" And Celestis is very unique, right? A lot of people's understanding of these ships is like, okay, here's the frigate damping, here's the cruiser damping, here's the better cruiser damping because it's T2. You know, like that's their understanding of the game, right? It's like better, 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 better. No, the Celestis is very unique, very different playstyle. It has a damp optimal range bonus without deep into a Celestis guide. That changes everything. Okay, it's a very, very, very different situation you're in now. You will fly that so differently, and you know, then he tries that, and he's like super fucking excited, and man, it makes me really emotional because it's just like I don't know, I really love that moment. I really love that moment where you get people that join your corp, and you know you're preventing people from quitting the game, and you know that you're making somebody have fun.
When was your moment?
Not really having fun. Man, that's a tough one. You know, I think it's probably when I flew into Interceptor and stuff. That's like my favorite thing to do. And going out and doing Nano Gang and just being a guy that's able to create content, that was like a huge. I mean, that's how I was able to build a corp, build an alliance, build a following. I mean, like, I'm not
tiny
foolish.
following.
Like, I'm not foolish to think that my corp follows me because they think I'm a super nice guy and I'm super whatever. I am, you know, I'm not that nice. I produce results. I mean, like, I really go out there and I can.
Doesn't every content creator though?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, when my corp started, guess who the only content creator is? It's me. So, like, you got to start somewhere. And, you know, like, I was putting in the time and I was getting kills for people that were in alliances that were terrible, then bored out of their minds, people having goons, people in microgang help looking for something to do, and they're just bored and they don't like, you know, they're trying to find something interesting, and then you can really build a following of people that want to do stuff with you because, you know, okay, this guy's figured shit out, he's getting content, he's getting whatever. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's where all this shit started. It was just me pointing stuff in Provi. I remember I used to practice in an Inti. I remember I went out to Provi in an Inti and I would just point people in sights and I would hold it as long as I could and I just warp away. No one was with me. I had no means of killing them. I would just go out and practice and I would go up and down pipes and up and through camps and get the fuck out of there and keep fucking around, feather a crow for a little while, run away. I mean, I just did this by myself just for fun and I would just leave them alone because I didn't have a corp yet. I was all by myself. And I would just keep doing that. I didn't feel like dual boxing at Oracle or anything stupid like that. But yeah, I mean that was probably the epiphany for me. But man, I have tons of those stories, and they make me emotional because I don't know, that's what warms my heart. Anyway, that's the end of my story time. I need to drink more bourbon now.
Woo! So that's the end of the podcast too, isn't it? Yeah,
I guess so.
There's two people in China, 2 stories told.
Oh my goodness.
Math.
I wonder when the next fucking podcast is going to be about.
Dude, I wonder how many questions we're going to get for the next podcast.
We gotta figure some memes out. Maybe we can do like a question thing.
That's true.
I don't know.
StaticTalk.com, guys, it's up. I'll be posting this on my YouTube channel still. StaticTalk.com will have the final edited version of it up. Any shout-outs, Tiny? Any before we sign off?
Oh shit, I didn't prepare. I was so prepared last time. Okay, first shoutouts always go to my knights that are always fucking helping me every fucking day of all this stupid shit that we have to fucking do to make this fucking alliance work. It's a lot of fucking hard work and I cannot do it without you. I want to always shout out to my fucking line members for coming to pings and doing shit, scanning sites and doing all the basics. The alliance also doesn't fucking work if you don't do that. And who did we have a good fight against recently? Holy shit. Hold on, let me open our kill board. Something must have been fun. Oh my god, you have this horrible fucking kill here. Hold on. Who the fuck fought us recently that was like totally badass? Because we were like, there's always someone where it's
Laserhawks recently?
Yeah.
Killed those Slepners.
I don't think they want to talk about that. But it was a good fight. It really was. I don't think they were too pleased after that, but no, it was good. I mean, you know, we're always down, but that was a very I was happy with our aggressiveness there. Yeah, we had a good fight there, and it was kind of funny because it happened right in front of Nosov. But yeah, that was a good fight, and I guess to lasers. I mean, we're down. We're down to keep doing that, but I hope I don't have to tell you that. But you know what? I will say this: we had a good fight against Action Partisan. Actually,
Ah,
we were kind of. I guess I could shout out to them real quick. It was enjoyable, but I think they were also probably raging. I guess that's what happens when you lose. But I was really proud of my guys in that fight. But it was one of those fights where they were trying to like roll the hole and they were trying to stop us from doing what we were doing, and we got a really good drop on them. We had defensive bubbles. Our gang got split up. We killed this, that, and the other thing. You know, like it really was like we were firing on all cylinders there. But they were putting up a good fight and they were doing what they could. So anyway, yeah, it was a good fight, so I would shout out to them for that. I guess I'm done.
cool. I guess my shout out goes to the content creators in HK. You know who you are, and don't want to list all you guys off, but all the guys creating the null timers, the wormhole timers, the shit that's happening, the scanners in HK. You guys are the driving force of HK, and you probably don't know it, don't realize it, but you really are. So shout out to you guys, and shout out to Shekel Squad for being good sports, for getting baited. It happens to the best of us, and I guess now you. I don't want to say now you know, but you know, just watch out for next time. You know, keep your eyes out. Know when to bail. Know when to, you know, take it the fuck out. So.
You know who we should shout out to?
Who's that?
We should shout out to Kyle Parthos, dude.
Oh yeah, he was a good sport for his fort dying the first time, even though he wasn't there. Woo.
Honestly, good luck, my dude. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to get excited about NoSaw because I'm pretty jaded at this point. Oh, nice meme. I'm pretty jaded at this point because of how many corps are complete fucking failures in C5 space. But
I hope his,
wish you all, yeah, I wish him the best.
I hope his alliance doesn't fail now, because they have like everything set up and nothing to fight for anymore. Like they got everything set up, they're done. They're done.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's so easy to happen, but I mean, my dude, best of luck to you. Your time is now. You're gonna be shit for some time. That's okay, but keep working at it. I think a year ago, our biggest accomplishment was evicting Oasis. We've grown a lot since then. A lot can happen in 12 months. So hang in there, my dude. You're gonna make it. Got to keep working at it every day. Keep solving the problems. We should end this podcast, my dude. How are we gonna do that?
Sounds good. You ready to puke in your mouth?
Oh God, what?
Alright, thanks everyone for listening. Static Talk, Episode 2. With me, Foedus, Latro, and Tiny. Follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to me on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, all of them. Bullshit. Just kidding. Fuck you all. Fuck your comments. We're off.
You don't just fucking follow me on Twitter. What the fuck? You have a Twitter for your Eve character?
Yeah, I do.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
What the fuck's wrong with you? Who doesn't have a Twitter? Bye.
Where you talking about time?
fuck's wrong with you? Who doesn't have a Twitter?
Ugh.
That's on hashtag TweetFleetSlack. It's where the meme started from, man.
That made me fucking puke in my mouth right there, my dude.
Woo!